Do you have another Torah out there that has this rendering that is not the Torah that I have today?
I believe what's it called, the Pentateuch or something?
The Pentateuch.
Pentateuch. Yeah, that's very.
Those are the 5 books of Moses, brother.
Yeah, in the, what was it, 1500 BC or like 100, something like that. But my history is a little bit rusty. But it's not what we have in the Torah right now. It's similar.
It is, brother. The Pentateuch, dude. The Pentateuch is just referring to the first 5 books of the Torah. That's all it's referring to, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's what the Pentateuch is.
And the first ones we have is about predicted historical criticism-wise about 1,000 years after Moses.
Doesn't matter. It's
I know.
Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
I know, but it's not the same ones we have now.
Hold on, just to be clear, you're saying that the Pentateuch is different from the Torah that I have today. That has
the one that we have that we've reconstructed.
Is the Pentateuch Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy? Is that what the Pentateuch is?
It is what it became, yes.
That's what it became?
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I know from the preview you will have known that you are in for an interesting discussion. So, right, my name is Julius. Welcome to Beyond Logic. Why? Because God is beyond our logic. Without wasting time, guys, let's go into it. I will see you at the end of the discussion.
Assad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hello.
Please fix my audio. I say something?
Am I clear? Am I audible?
There you go. Yep, what's up?
Hi, hello.
You're Muslim?
Yes, I'm Muslim.
Sunni, Shia, Ahmadi?
Sunni.
Okay. All right, so you can tell us what the Injil is today, yeah?
I will try.
All right, I'm listening. Go ahead. What is it? What's the Injil?
So, there is, the people before said, it's the revelation that was revealed to Jesus.
And what was that revelation?
Is this an internal critique or an external critique?
For the purpose of those who might be interested, external critique is the process of evaluating the authenticity and origin of a source. It examines whether the source is genuine, who created it, when and where it was created, and whether it has ever been altered or forged. For example, with the book of Matthew, external criticism would examine who wrote it, when and where it was written, and whether it has been altered or forged. Internal critique, on the other hand, evaluates the accuracy, credibility, and reliability of the contents of the book.
Both.
Well, I need to know which one it is, because if you're using the external critique, then it'd be the Gospels. And if it's an internal critique, then it'd be, we don't know, because we don't have a record of it.
Interesting. So you're saying, externally we know the Injil to be the Gospels that we have today.
Yes.
But internally, if we were to just solely focus on what the Quran is saying, we don't know. We can't pinpoint it.
No, we do have answers for it in the internal perspective, but we don't have the revelation.
Okay, so you don't have the Go ahead.
Yeah, so like for example, the red letters, which are the common red letters, if one was to say that this is what the Muslims are referring to as the Injil, that would be the closest. But that would then have to be verified as, is this historically accurate or not? Like for example, the story of the adulteress was perceived to be red lettered until we found out through historical criticism that wasn't in the Codex Sinaiticus.
So guys, the story of the woman caught in adultery is found in John 8 verses 1 to 11. The fact that this passage is not found in Codex Sinaiticus does not necessarily mean that the event never happened.
So with this being said, so just to make sure I'm clear, so externally, we know what the Injil is, and that's the writings of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Specifically would be what Jesus was going around preaching that they've recorded. That's what the Injil is.
Externally. Yes, because
Internally,
that's the only closest thing that comes to what the Injil is being referred to through the Muslim corpus in the Islamic history.
all right, so historically, the writings of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is what would fit the bill.
Yes.
Okay. Internally, if you're disregarding external, let's say you're not thinking about that, you're just looking at it just from a Quran standpoint, you're saying that from the Quran, we can't pinpoint what the Injil is just using the information in the Quran alone. If we stay inside the Quran, like we don't know what exactly it is.
Exactly is the operative word here. We do know something that comes close because it does reference to the people of the book to refer to their scripture, which it then affirms. But it is not precisely the Injil that's being taught, that is referenced elsewhere in the Quran.
Interesting. So what else? What can we know about the Injil to know what it is from the Quran? We know it's something that Jesus was going around preaching. What are some details that the Quran gives us that helps us narrow it down?
Let me find the scripture for this. So in chapter 3, verse 3, it says, "He revealed to you, O Prophet, the book and truth," as in reference to Muhammad, confirming what we came before it, as he revealed the Torah and the Gospel. So the Quran the Gospel and the Torah are treated in the same manner that the Quran is, which is diction from God directly to the people. So the closest thing that would come is everything that Jesus, as the messenger within the internal Quran, is preaching verbatim as revelation, because of course Jesus said things like, if someone would ask him what his name is, he'd say, "My name is Jesus." That doesn't mean that that's part of the revelation.
Okay, so how do we know what part is a part of the revelation and what isn't?
Well, you'd use the same references and structure that the Quran has and the Hadiths have, which is that Muhammad said that this is scripture. He prefaced this is scripture, then he narrated it through this like 7 arufs, and he repeated it to several people, told them to memorize it. The Quran.
You're saying that the Torah, that the gospel is revealed exactly as the Quran is revealed?
That's what the Quran says, yes.
Where does it say that?
Chapter 3, verse 3.
Chapter 3, verse 3 just talks about how Allah revealed the Torah and Gospel. And
as he revealed the Torah, he revealed the book in truth, which is the Quran, confirming what came before it, as in the Torah and the Gospel. So It is revealing the Quran the way he revealed the Torah and the Gospel.
Well, it's saying that he revealed the Quran and he revealed the Torah and Gospel as well. Like it's not saying that the structure of the Torah and Gospel is the same structure as the Quran. It's not talking about the structure, it's just talking about the revelation of them in general.
No, it is talking about the structure because it says, as he revealed the Torah and the Gospel.
Yeah, so it's like if I say, I gave you the keys to my house as I gave my other friend the keys to my house, right? So it's just talking about me. Does it mean that let's say I handed you the keys with my right hand, does that mean that I handed the keys to my other friend with my right hand as well?
Sure, okay, fine. Yeah, I can accept a very instant transmission as there's enough leeway in the reading to infer that, sure. It's not breaking anything.
Wait, so I'm lost. So you're saying that, like with the analogy that I gave, does it necessitate when I say I gave you the keys as I gave John the keys to my house, that necessitates that the way that I gave you the keys is the exact same way that I gave John the keys?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
No, but when, for example, that's why I'm saying that it doesn't necessitate a different, more elaborate reading from the scripture to say that it has has to be in that precise manner. That would be like further tafsir, and further scholars would have to argue about it. But I would like have some distinction between if something is given as diction versus something that's given as action, because hadith is action, but it's 200 years after Muhammad. So it has high precedent in the Quran and Islamic literature, but it doesn't have as high a standard as the Quran itself. So if there's something in the hadith that we see that conflicts with the Quran, then the hadith has to be tested and revisited. So similarly, I would say that it had to be something along those lines.
Okay, so when we're talking about the Injil, we know that it's a revelation from Allah, from what the Quran says. Does it tell us specifically what is contained in this revelation, this Injil? Like, does it give us some specifics?
Certain things. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it does reference how in the Injil it confirmed the Torah.
That's true. It says that it confirms the Torah. Anything else?
Not off the top of my head, no. If there's something that you might know, I can try and look it up real quick.
What comes to my head there, it talks about a parable of the sower and the seed. I forget what chapter that's in. I think that's in chapter 48, if I'm not mistaken. But it talks about a parable of the seed and the sower. And that's found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Or just Mark and Luke, one of those.
Is it saying that it is from the Injil, or is it saying that...
Yeah, it actually says that this is found in the Injil. What chapter is it? 48:29. Yep, see, I knew the chapter. Chapter 48, verse 29.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, and you'll find that parable in the gospel written by Mark, and I believe it's in Luke too, if I'm not mistaken. Either Luke or Matthew. Oh, it's Mark and Matthew. Okay, got it. See, thank you, 100. Mark chapter 4, verse 27 to 31, and then Matthew. So it appeals to things that's in Matthew and Mark that we find written down. So, other than that, that's all I know of where it talks about anything specific. It's a confirmation of the Torah, and it has like this parable of the sower, which we find. Yeah. So with this being said, then I guess reasonably we can conclude that we have the Injil, that the Quran is mentioned, and at least in the writings of the four authors, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that we have today. We can
That'd
go
be
back.
a bit of a stretch, though.
How? What?
Because we only have two pieces of evidence. We have the parable, and we have that it confirmed the Torah.
Well, we also have that it was written down, and that's found in chapter 7, verse 157. It says that the Injil is written down, and that it's
157, you said?
Yes, 7:157. It'll say that that the unlettered prophet is written in the Torah and the gospel with them.
No, it says the word used is yajidunahu, which is to find or to collect.
Yeah, the word I'm talking about is maktubin. Maktubin means written. It says whom they find written, maktubin, with them, in the Torah and the gospel.
Yes, I see it.
Yep, so we know that at least by the 7th century, the Injil is written down in scriptural form, in book form, and the Christians have possession of it. It's with them, right? And so we know that the Christians had Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the gospel, even in the 7th century.
Okay.
So I think that all the evidence points to, if we're being reasonable, I think that we can reasonably say and conclude that the Quran is pointing to what we have in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
Not unless you can find me the location that it's referring to. Like what description would be in the Torah and the Gospel that the Quran is referencing as the description of Muhammad.
No, see, now that's where the dilemma comes in, okay? Because the Quran is referring back to the Torah and the Gospel that the Christians have, which we know they had. They had Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That's the Torah in the Old Testament. And they had Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the Gospel. But then says we can find Muhammad in these scriptures.
Yes.
So if we examine the claim of the Quran and we check out these scriptures and Muhammad's nowhere to be found objectively, like not unsubjective.
No, but that's not objective anymore. You're applying external critique now.
But
because but the internal critique would be if this does not have a description of Muhammad, then it is not the gospel. Whatever text is being referred to and doesn't contain these verses, doesn't contain a description of Muhammad, then it is internally incompatible. So therefore, that's why I asked, are you making external critique or an internal critique? Externally, I see where you're coming from. Externally, you can make the implication that the Quran is incorrect or has their facts here and there, but that'd be an external critique, and we'd have to go back from the beginning and revisit this entire conversation from externally.
Can you agree that the Quran is appealing to something external to itself?
Yes.
So that's why when you asked me the question in the beginning, I said it's both. Because yes, you have the Quran making claims about these books and appealing to these books that are outside of itself. So it's a both and, not either or. So when the Quran makes a claim like, hey guys, these scriptures is what I'm talking about, and you can go find me mentioned in there. Okay, well, since he internally appealed to something external to it, I can go check those things that it's talking about and see if the claim is true. And if Muhammad's not found in the Torah and Gospel, like the Quran says he is, then the Quran is making a false claim. It doesn't mean that the Torah and Gospel aren't the Torah and Gospel that the Quran's talking about. It just means the Quran's wrong.
Now you snuck in a presupposition. I'll give you another analogy from the Gospel specifically. Like when Jesus talks about how the Pharisees are following the law and you need to be better than them to enter the kingdom of heaven, during one of Jesus' sermons, and he was saying that they stand on, I forget the exact words, they sit on the throne.
They sit on the seat of Moses.
Yes, they sit on the seat of Moses, but we know from scripture that, or at least historical criticism, that the Torah had, or at least the way the Torah was communicated among the Jewish tribes, often they would, in their oral tradition, the Jews would incorporate parts that were relevant to those specific tribes. So those things were added after the fact of the revelation from Moses. So that doesn't mean that everything is specific. So when Jesus says that the old law, the Old Testament is true, and I give you a piece of paper that I just made up that has nothing to do with the Old Testament, and I declare that this is the Old Testament, then that's a false analogy, because what you're referring to as the Old Testament is not what I'm presenting. Now, if externally I can bring up documents that's different, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then I say, so this is historically verified, because like obviously me writing something on a piece of paper is nonsense. And I said, this is what Jesus was referring to. This is the Old Testament, and what you have is nonsense. Then externally I have weight, but internally there's no weight, because the Old Testament is what is written in the Bible, because that's what Jesus is referring to.
Okay, so there's a few issues here. One, the issue is that when the Quran is appealing to something, like the Torah, the Gospel, which historically we know what these things are.
No, we don't, because that's the presumption that you're smuggling in. What the Quran describes as the Torah and the Gospel is not what is historically identified as the Torah and the Gospel.
Can you go to chapter 5, verse 45 for me of the Quran?
I have, yeah, sure. Hold on, I need to scroll down. Yeah.
And what does it say?
We ordained for them in the Torah a life for a life, an eye for an eye, a nose for a nose, an ear for an ear, a tooth for a tooth, and for wounds equal retaliation. But whoever waives it charitably, it will be atonement for them. And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed, truly the wrongdoers.
I'm pretty sure you heard that before, right? Eye for an eye,
Yeah.
tooth for a tooth. That comes from the Old Testament that I have, right?
Yes.
So your Quran
No, so
is...
let me clarify. It is in the Old Testament. It's hard to, we don't have enough evidence to infer that it's coming from the Old Testament unless it says internally that it comes from the Old Testament.
It just said it's coming from the Torah, which...
But you're making an external argument.
No, your Quran is. That's, again, your Quran appeals to something external to it. Not me. The Quran does it.
So, and again, what the Quran refers to as the Torah is not what you're holding.
So why is it taking from my Torah then?
So, logic, there's, John starts with, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. In the 30 BC to about 30 AD, we don't know exactly when, a philosopher named Philo was using the same rhetoric with Logos. That's not to say that the New Testament copied Philo's. That'd be nonsense. Just because there are similar words or similar content or similar...
This guy is just disingenuous. If we read the passage in context, Surah 5, verses 43 and 44 are talking about the Jews. Then, in verse 45, the Quran gives an example of the law in their book, which is the Torah. So, when we read the passage in context, the Quran says, "We ordained for them in the Torah." Notice the emphasis on the Torah. That means the Quran was drawing those words from the Torah. This is not about a similar quotation from an unknown source. From this, we can say that the Quran was confirming the Torah by making reference to it.
Words or sentiment being used does not eliminate the fact that it is scripture or original or having some kind of weight to it.
Let me make this truly analogous.
Sure.
Let's say John said there was a philosopher named Philo who once said that the Word is the Logos, which is the wisdom and knowledge and declaration of God. Mm-hmm. Then would you be able to say, John got this from Philo? When you see historically there's somebody named Philo who was a philosopher who used to use this rhetoric?
If you want to use a more accurate analogy, Bart Ehrman has if you read Bart Ehrman, he talks about how...
No, forget Bart Ehrman, I want to talk about this one right here.
I agree with you. It's not a perfect analogy, so I was giving a more appropriate analogy.
Yeah. So when the Quran appeals to something called the Torah, mm-hmm. and then quotes or paraphrases from what the Torah says, and from what we have always known the Torah to be, we can find exactly what it's quoting in Exodus chapter 21. We see where it's quoting eye for an eye, life for a life, tooth for a tooth. You know,
that's see that
true. We see that paraphrase. So okay, so
if you said that it was always the Torah that we had.
All right, so let's do it this way then. Do you have another Torah out there that has this rendering that is not the Torah that I have today?
I believe what's it called, the Pentateuch or something?
The Pentateuch.
Pentateuch. Yeah, that's very...
Those are the 5 books of Moses, brother.
Yeah, in the, what was it, 1500 BC or like 100, something like that. My history is a little bit rusty. But it's not what we have in the Torah right now. It's similar.
It is, brother. The Pentateuch is just referring to the first 5 books of the Torah. That's all it's referring to, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's what the Pentateuch is.
And the first ones we have is about predicted historical criticism-wise about 1,000 years after Moses.
It doesn't matter. It's
I know.
Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
I know, but it's not the same ones we have now.
It doesn't.
You can look at the textual. You can look at the textual. You can look at the textual prism.
Just to be,
yeah.
Hold on, just to be clear, you're saying that the Pentateuch is different from the Torah that I have today. That has
the one that we have that we've reconstructed.
Is the Pentateuch Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy? Is that what the Pentateuch is?
It is what it became. Yes.
That's what it became?
Yeah.
So this is where, like you're speaking a lot of, like you don't know what you're talking about, brother. The Pentateuch, there's no different concept of the Pentateuch, Assad. The Pentateuch has always been referent to the 5 books of Moses. The word in Pentateuch literally means 5.
I know.
So it's taught Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. There's never any other books that was referred to as the Pentateuch together.
So the reason why I'm saying it is what we have today and it's not this difference there is because Hebrew, for example, does not have vowels. And the further back you get, it becomes a historical reconstruction. So what we have now has to be taken into consideration because we assume through the historical method that it is reasonably preserved through oral tradition, that what people are saying this has some truth to it. That's why we have some dead languages that we can resurrect. That's how in the 13th century, 12th century, I know, but I'm giving an example.
Please, I need, in this moment, I need you to be as direct as you can, please. I need you to deal with how your Quran quotes from the Torah that I have today. You're saying no, that doesn't mean that it's quoting from what I have. You're suggesting that there's another Torah out there that it's referring to. What Torah is that's other than mine that your Quran is pulling from?
The same way the revelation was revealed to Muhammad, again, the same verse, the same way the revelation was revealed to Jesus, the same way the revelation was revealed to Moses.
Okay, so that doesn't answer the question, brother. The verse says, and we ordained in the Torah therein, and then quotes it. Eye for an eye, life for a life, tooth for a tooth, wound for wound, yada, yada, yada.
Dude, that just doesn't mean that I can write that same word and then write a bunch of nonsense before and after and just say this is what the Torah is being referred to.
So what Torah, other than what I have, which your Quran is directly pulling from, is your Quran talking about and quoting? Because if it's not mine, you got to show me what other Torah there is.
It would take some time and I would have to research it, but I'm pretty sure this exact verse or this exact sentiment does not exist purely in the Torah. Because
so where else does it exist? Because it says it's getting it from the Torah specifically.
No, I know that the Quran is saying that it exists from the Torah, but I'm saying that you're making an external critique that this is the only thing that it can be referring to.
Pause, time out. What is the Torah, Assad?
The revelation given to Moses.
No, what specifically is it?
According to the Quran, I don't think it refers to it specifically beyond this.
Historically.
Historically, it's I would say the 10 Commandments from Moses, and then the Pentateuch.
So, okay, good. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, that's what the Torah is historically.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So your Quran then says, hey guys, this is in the Torah. Eye for an eye, life for a life, tooth for a tooth, and so on and so forth. Which is exactly what we find in the historical Torah that we all know is the historical Torah.
The word they use in Arabic is Torah, and it refers to the revelation to Moses.
All right, no worries. You are suggesting that other than the historical Torah that we have,
yes,
the Quran is actually quoting from something else that is identified as the Torah.
Yeah.
What is that?
The revelation given to Moses.
No. What is that Torah? I need this other Torah that you're talking about. That's not the historical known Torah. What is this other Torah that you're talking about that the Quran is appealing to?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay, so look. I love your attitude. You're cool. You're chill. We disagree, which is fine. I'm gonna let somebody else up, but you can come back. I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, same time. Come back.
Fine.
We could continue this some more. Okay.
Thanks for entertaining my questions and the conversation. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, man.
You too, man. Take care. Okay. Peace.
Welcome back, guys. This is another proof that the author of the Quran does not know what both Torah and Injil are. Now, caring about the person does not mean that you know about that person. You know, despite the fact that Muhammad sent out some of his disciples to go and learn more about the Hebrew Bible, it's not a guarantee that they will know the whole truth about the Hebrew Bible. So that's it, guys. On a side note, Muhammad did not bring anything new to the world. Why? Because all of the 5 pillars in Islam have been given to some groups by Allah in the Quran. Well, more on that in our next video. So guys, subscribe, like, share and comment. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll see you in our next video, guys. Thank you for watching.